Hello and welcome to Big Picture. I am Vishal Dahiya and today we will talk about the odd-even traffic rationing scheme. It's that time of the year again when the pollution level in the air quality index goes up to dangerous level in the national capital, and the odd-even scheme is all set to make a return for the third time from 4th to 15th of November. While various studies give conflicting reports about the success of previous editions of the odd-even scheme in combating air pollution, Delhi government is finalizing new guidelines for this edition. Now, State Transport Department has suggested giving exemption to women drivers and two-wheelers, but the private CNG vehicles will come under the preview of the odd-even traffic rationing scheme. So today, we will analyze the rationale behind the odd-even scheme, how can it be made more successful, and whether not giving exemption to private CNG vehicles could act as a disincentive for those switching to clean burning fuel. For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Today, let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. K.T. Ravindran, urban planner. We also have with us Professor C.K. Varshney, former Dean, School of Environmental Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University. And we're also joined by Dr. B. Sengupta, former member or Secretary of Central Pollution Control Board. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Mr. Ravindran, and let's look at it from a planning move as well as from the aspect that we need to go ahead and fight air pollution now. That's the biggest target we have. So in that context, the rationing scheme, the traffic rationing scheme, the odd-even scheme, this is going to be the third edition. One, what are your expectations from schemes like this? And two, how do you think we can go ahead and manage schemes like this much better?
First of all, I think it's a fantastic scheme. Because the question of pollution and the question of this dense population of traffic particularly in Delhi has been a very vexing problem, and I am a big fan of the idea of introducing an odd-even scheme. Having said that, let's also look at the flip side of it, the manner in which it is being implemented. I think it is it's a kind of, it defeats the purpose of having an odd-even scheme when you don't exempt CNG vehicles. I myself own a CNG vehicle for the last 4 years. In spite of the difficulty in accessing CNG, I still use that as my primary vehicle in the city because its emission levels are the lowest. Yeah? And the problem now is that they are not exempted from this odd-even scheme, and which is very surprising. The reason that is given is that that there's been a lot of misuse of the provision last time. There were false stickers of CNG and many vehicles were masquerading as CNG vehicles. That's a question of enforcement. That's a question of policing the issue, not banning the entire use of CNG vehicles because it's been misused. What do we have the police for? The police is there to check the misuse. Police is there to ensure that the law that is in place is people abide by the law, and instead they cancel out the entire CNG vehicle from the scheme.
Okay.
This is really surprising. The second thing that is also rightly pointed out by you is the fact that bikes are exempted, two-wheelers are exempted. They are very big culprits, the two-wheelers. They contribute hell of a lot to the pollution content, especially to the particulate matter, and they are exempted. It's just a populist measure, and it's something that actually works counterproductive to the whole idea of CNG. So better implementation actually means these two things. One is bringing in more and more vehicles, particularly the bikes, into the gambit, and then also making sure that people are encouraged to use better fuels like CNG rather than discourage them by banning them from this scheme.
Okay. Professor Varshney, do you agree to these two aspects? Because, the data also says very clearly that the number of two-wheelers in Delhi is almost 70% of the total vehicles on the road. And their emission levels, if you look at per unit wise, are also much more than what it is there in case of cars and all that. So in terms of implementation, the suggestions made by Mr. Ravindran, both in case of bringing two-wheelers into the ambit and ensuring that those cars or those vehicles which use clean energy such as CNG or hybrid cars, they should be incentivized rather than punishing them.
Absolutely. You see, the question is that we have to see that what are the major polluters on the road. And obviously, the two-wheelers are the most polluters. And they are 70% of the total 1 crore vehicles that we have. And considering, you are absolutely right that per unit CC that we take, then the amount of pollution created by two-wheelers is much, much more. And the second point that you are making is also worthy of consideration, that why CNG vehicles are to be banned. For a simple reason that this is a bridge fuel which we are really having, and where the emissions are much less. And the difference is about 30% or something like that. And I think that is a big saving. And therefore, also we should understand that the gas companies are making heavy investment in creating the filling stations as well as the network of CNG stations. And at the same time, an individual buyer and a consumer is also looking forward to have a CNG, because the carbon footprint of such a vehicle is much less. And if they are also banned, then the question is that it is going to be a discourage both the gas companies as well as the individual purchaser. And I think this is not going to be in a very good taste in terms of our future changeover of the bridge fuel, because we have to really shift our consumers from petrol and diesel to the CNG, which is a better fuel. Of course, ultimately we are going to have something else, but then for the time being it is much, much better. So I think this also need to be understood. And the first thing that you said is far more important. Is odd and even is the only way to contain and curtail pollution to a large measure. Every measure that we take is going to impact the air pollution positively.
Okay.
But the question is that what are those measures which are per unit of money and time and effort spent is going to really pull down the pollution most. I think that kind of analysis seems to be lacking. And I say that the road dust is a much bigger culprit as compared to, and also the kind of earthwork that is going around and is left open is a very major source of this. Secondly, the question is of the various kind of, the brick lanes that we have all around. And the most important point is, it is not good enough that Delhi city only has odd and even. It is the entire, I should say, neighboring cities also, and the NCR general as well as nearby towns, which also should really come and chip in. Then only we will have very effective. Last thing that I want to say is that pollution levels are conditioned by many factors. First is the emission from the vehicles. The second is the burning of the biomass. And the third thing is the meteorology. If the wind is flowing from one direction, it will be different. If it is not flowing, then it will build up. So I think that meteorological factors are also very important.
Okay.
And the important thing is that the roads are another important factor. If the roads are not smooth, and if they are questions of pits and some kind of a problem, then I think the pollution levels are going to be very high. So I think many of these things have to be taken into account. It is a very low hanging fruit, which we can really say. Of course, it is going to have some impact. As you rightly say, somebody says it's 2%, somebody says it is 3%, but in no way it is more than about 10% on an average.
Okay.
Even if we take the most biggest claim on that. So question is that when you have a pollution level of 400 or something like that, which is severe and very severe, does this 10% really makes the air comfortable? Perhaps not. And it is therefore important under these conditions that we should use this only as a measure where it makes a substantial change. There are many countries which have tried in the past, France, Bogota, and so on, and Mexico. Nowhere it is being continued because it really doesn't make much sense.
Okay.
And last point that I would like to make is that before we make odd and even, we should set right our public transport system.
Okay,
And
that's-
without that, it remains only hanging.
Okay, that's very crucial aspect out there, and I'll bring Mr. Ravindran on the public transport aspect a bit later. But let me first bring in Dr. Sen Gupta here, former member secretary of the Central Pollution Control Board, somebody who has spent a lot of time trying to battle this menace of pollution. Dr. Sen Gupta, the first important question here is that what are your views on the odd even traffic rationing scheme as a measure to control pollution, or what kind of contribution do you believe it does make in controlling pollution? And also the other two aspects of the implementation part as to, exempting two-wheelers and not exempting the cleaner fuel vehicles like CNG.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I agree with Professor Varshney on many issues, but let me tell you that for air pollution control, we have to take an integrated approach. Only odd even of the passenger cars things will not give the sufficient good air quality. Now we have to understand what are the sources of air pollution in NCR, Delhi. Number one is the vehicle. Then we have the large number of small-scale industry. We should not forget that in Delhi we have more than 1 to 1.5 lakh small-scale industries which are contributing pollution. We have large number of DG sets which are using diesel. We have in Delhi, NCR, we are burning lot of waste, solid waste as well as the plastic waste, etc. These are mainly the illegal burning. So that is also contributing lot of pollution. Then we have the construction dust. Then the MSW dump site, municipal solid waste dump site, is also generating and emitting lot of pollution, which includes some polyaromatic hydrocarbons and the toxic gases, methane, etc. Then suspension of dust. So these are some sources of the pollution. But another important thing is that, which Dr. Varshney has also mentioned, is the air pollution which is coming from our neighboring state. Like Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Noida, Gurgaon, there are very large number of small-scale industry which are polluting, and when the air is blowing towards Delhi side, the Delhi's air quality is affected.
Okay.
So we have to take all the steps we have to take together, and we should take an integrated approach to control and reduce the air pollution. Another very important points I want to mention is the meteorological condition. You see that in winter, we are the start of the winter. The winter, one of the important thing is that the mixing height become very low. And then whatever the pollutants are generated are trapped in that layer. For example, the mixing height during the winter nights is about 30 to 50 meters. Corresponding to the daytime, when the bright sunshine is there, it is going up to 1000 meters. So you can see that the night time, during the strong inversion and low mixing height, pollution levels are trapped. And second very important thing is that we have the very calm condition. In winter in Delhi, there is practically no wind. No wind is blowing. Wind speed is very low. So whatever the pollutants are generated, it is trapped. So, you see, these are the very important areas where we have to consider this thing. One is the meteorological condition, neighboring state pollution,
okay.
And then stubble burning in Punjab, Haryana, that is also contributing. And in Delhi, we have our own sources of pollution.
Okay.
Now, coming to the odd even, I think Dr. Ravindran and Dr. Varshney is absolutely correct that the 70% of the vehicles are 2 and 3 wheelers. All the 3 wheelers we have the CNG, but the 2 wheelers are either these are the petrol driven, and we have not come in the purview of the odd even. So you can see the vehicle population, if you see, 10 to 15% of vehicles are passenger cars, and we are enforcing the odd even only to the passenger cars. So it will not give very substantial reduction in the air quality. It is only, I think, 3 to 4% or 5% pollution reduction will be there.
Okay.
Rest of the pollution is either coming from other sources and also from the other vehicles. So we have to consider this thing. Only good thing will happen if the odd even scheme, the congestion on the road will be reduced.
Okay.
Now in Delhi, we have found that the heavy congestion on the road, the average vehicle speed, if you see, it is only 14 to 15 kilometer per hour. where when we started our activities in say 20 years ago, the vehicle speed, average vehicle speed in the congested area was 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Now it is reduced to 14, 15, maximum 18 kilometers per hour, which is very low. And more congestion when the vehicle speed is not there, so it is emitting more pollution. So we have to consider all these things to control the pollution. So in the nutshell, if we want to improve the air quality, which is in severe and hazardous level today, we have to do in Delhi itself lot of pollution control activity, and we have to also coordinate with our neighboring state to reduce the air pollution which is coming from their industries, especially in Ghaziabad, Faridabad, etc. So in Delhi, what we have to do is the illegal burning of waste to be stopped, and that is the role of the Delhi Pollution Control Committee and CPCB. They have to see that the illegal burning of waste is stopped. MSW collection and disposal should be done properly, which is a very big task. Presently, with the 4 MSW dump site, lot of air pollution is created. Emission control system from DG sets, in-use DG sets are not there. So we have to come out with the DG sets which are in operation. Should have the emission control system, especially the SO2 control system. Stubble burning should be minimized, and for that government should support the farmers so that this stubble should be collected and properly disposed in the power plant, so that as a fuel it can be used. The vehicle side, another important thing which I want to mention here is the in-use vehicle emission control. The vehicles which are on road, their emission has to be controlled. Presently, we have the PUC system, and I feel that the PUC system is not giving the sufficient results for combating the air pollution. We have to take an integrated approach for in-use vehicle emission control. Bharat Stage 6 we have introduced, but it is only for the new vehicles. And new vehicles numbers are very less. So 90% of the air pollution on the vehicle side are contributed by the vehicles which are already on the road. So we have to do something on that.
So quite a long list out there, Dr. Sengupta, and effectively what he's saying is that there has to be an integrated approach, and all these aspects needs to be taken into consideration as well. Almost all of them, which Dr. Sengupta mentioned, work is on some of them. The GRAP is in process. A day ago, it was put in place, although there were questions raised as to it is not effectively put in place. But let me bring Mr. Ravindran again here, and on the public transport issue, something which Mr. Varshney, Professor Varshney pointed out, and even Dr. Sengupta was saying, if we have to go ahead and implement successfully rationing schemes like odd even, and even without putting in place rationing schemes like odd even, if you have to look at the congestion part of it, which then ultimately leads to pollution also, we have to go ahead and improve our public transportation system. That doesn't seem to be the case on priority out here, because when the first edition was launched in 2016, the number of buses plying was around 4,500. And 4 years or 3 years down the line, when the third edition is being launched, there's an increase of less than 1,000 buses.
Yeah, that's actually very true. But I'd also like to add one more point to the point that was raised by Dr. Sengupta. It's not just a question of statistically looking at the quantum of pollution that is released by vehicles. We also need to look at the content of pollution. That is, the vehicular pollution content is far more toxic than most other forms of pollution. So we should remember that it leads to long-term illnesses. It leads to probably impacts the functioning of our brains, because the amount of lead content is so high, and so on and so forth. There are many different chemicals that actually go into not properly combusted fuel. And that's one issue that we need to look at. It's not just a question of 9 or 10% is the vehicular pollution, so that's not good enough to deal with. It is very important to deal with them, because the impact this 9 or 10% has is enormous and very, very long term. It will make zombies of all of us if we continue to live in this city with these levels of pollution. So I think that's one important point that needs to be looked at. Further nuanced research needs to be done on what these contents are and how they should be reduced. That's one issue. Second thing is, I fully agree with Dr. Varshney that unless you supplement this with proper, effective public transport system, it cannot be effective because people have to commute. And the city is like 140 square kilometer radius, and it's a radial city. It does not have a linear structure like Calcutta or Bombay, where people could just move on one line or in an electric train and they could reach where
And
they
there are a
want
lot of
to visit.
commuters coming in from satellite towns
Yes,
as well,
that
every day.
as well. The whole NCR should be seen as one unit for planning because it is functioning as one unit of habitation. Many people live in Delhi and work in Gurgaon. People live in Gurgaon and go to work in Noida. And from Noida, people are even going to Meerut to work. And from Meerut, people are commuting every day to Delhi to work. So in the whole NCR region, there is a lot of, there is a web of commuting that takes place. And unless the whole thing is addressed in a comprehensive way, we cannot really curtail pollution. And one primary method of addressing this pollution is to have effective public transport network. But I would also like to suggest that a bus-based system, a road-based and a bus-based system is far more effective in a city like Delhi because it has the flexibility to move into different directions than introducing a heavy capital-intensive system like the metro system.
And the assets can be deployed and redeployed as per the need, as and when required. One last thing, Professor Varshney, is the fact which we started with, as in terms of the implementation part, about giving exemption to two-wheelers, not giving exemption to the cleaner fuel vehicles. This sort of, planning and this sort of execution also brings in the contradiction in the policy decisions being made because from a common citizen's perspective, this is a catch-22 situation, whether to go in for something or not to go in for something.
Absolutely. This is a very important issue. Let me also point out one thing, that it is very nice that we really exempt lady drivers with vehicles, whether they are CNG, petrol or diesel. But the question is that the vehicle is ultimately producing pollution. And the question is that this pollution is as bad as any other pollution. So the question is that there has to be some arrangement when we are saying even and odd, where it really brings all in one line. That is more important.
Except maybe perhaps the disabled person for whom the exemption has been given this time around. So categories like these should be considered.
Only these should be considered because it's a question that whether it's a X driver or a Y driver, the tailpipe is going to produce these toxic fumes. Second point that I want to make, and which Dr. Sengupta has raised very nicely and very correctly, that the diesel sets are a very major culprits. And you will, I don't know whether this is known very widely, that there are many societies in Faridabad as well as in Ghaziabad where people have started living for few years and there is no power supply. There is no main power supply. And RERA has told these builders that you must provide an alternative power supply. And their life is really on diesel sets. And if there is a control on diesel sets, we do not know that what is going to happen to these people who are really living there for many years. And without that, many malls and others are really going to be absolutely in a shambles. So the question is that we have to think in a much broader and a comprehensive manner, which Dr. Sengupta has said, comprehensively and elaborately, really to deal with the problem of air pollution. It is not just a question of odd and even. Everything that we do is going to contribute to control pollution. But the question is whether it is going to be effective and whether it is going to have a lasting effect as we are desiring or not will depend on many other conditions, which we are not going to really leave alone, and that is very, very important.
Okay, so there it is. As our panelists are pointing out, the odd even traffic rationing scheme does contribute to an extent in controlling the menace of air pollution. But as far as implementation is concerned, there seems to be, some aspects of it which can be looked upon by the policymakers and improved further. But as our panelists also pointed out, we will have to make a comprehensive and integrated approach towards battling the menace of air pollution, and we will have to do it now. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic and different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.